I'm not a Davion. I'm so deeply sorry. I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. I wish I could remember what happened. I'm just so sorry. I'm heartbroken. I love Dom and Davion. We were all friends and Dom was my soulmate. I wish I could take all your pain away. And I'm so sorry.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're diving into a gripping documentary about the McKenzie Shirilla case. Before we unravel the details of this heartbreaking story, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of future videos. Let's uncover the truth behind this tragic tale. Today's story is about a schoolgirl named Mackenzie Shirilla, who caused a tragic incident that claimed 2 lives. Shockingly, Mackenzie showed no remorse for what she did. At her trial, she even said she could do almost anything and still survive, but she didn't think she was cool. Mackenzie kept changing her story, blaming it on memory lapses. Up until the very end, she seemed sure she'd escape punishment. But the judge's verdict left both Mackenzie and her mother, who fiercely defended her, completely stunned. So, who is Mackenzie Shirilla? Mackenzie was born in August 2004 in the quiet town of Strongsville, Ohio. She was the 3rd child in her family. Her parents, John Shirilla and Natalie Stevens, did their best to raise their kids with love and care. They wanted to give them a good education and support all their endeavors. The youngest daughter, Mackenzie, was the family favorite. She got away with a lot, even serious misdeeds from a young age. Mackenzie grew up to be quite capricious, demanding, and selfish. She was used to getting her way and was confident that she wouldn't face any consequences, no matter what she did. Her classmates and teachers remembered her as a nice and open child, but as she got older, her behavior started to change. She would throw real tantrums if things didn't go her way. She lost her temper easily, behaved rudely and impatiently, swore, and could even get into fights. Mackenzie didn't care about anyone else's opinion. She always had to have the last word and put her own interests above everything else. As a teenager, her behavior became unbearable. But her parents didn't see it as a big deal. They thought it was just a phase and believed she should be treated with understanding and patience. However, Mackenzie's bad character was just the beginning of her troubles. In high school, she became addicted to alcohol and occasionally dabbled in illegal drugs, but she often got away with it. Her reckless actions posed a danger not only to herself, but also to those around her. Her parents either didn't notice or chose to ignore the obvious problem. Like many teenagers, Mackenzie was obsessed with social media and never let her smartphone out of her hands. She frequently posted provocative pictures of herself, smoking or drinking alcohol, along with equally provocative comments. Her friends were just like her. Together, they vandalized property, organized fights, stole things, and even caught the attention of the police a few times. But they only received warnings and educational talks, which made them feel invincible. Dominic Russo, a young man from Strongsville, was born in September 2001. He was the 4th of 7 children to his parents, Frank and Christine Russo. Growing up with 3 brothers and 3 sisters, Dominic was always very close to his siblings. From a young age, Dominic did well in school, actively participated in sports, and tried to lead a healthy lifestyle. Despite being part of a large family, he and his siblings never lacked parental love, attention, and care. Frank and Christine were moderately strict, but encouraged their children's all-around development. Dominic had many friends and was used to being the center of attention, often becoming the life of the party. He had a bright and attractive appearance, was fit and interesting, which earned him many admirers. However, he preferred serious and promising relationships over fleeting romances. After graduating from high school, Dominic enrolled at a local university, choosing to specialize in performing arts production. He dreamed of a career in music and hoped to become a famous music producer one day. Besides being talented and versatile, Dominic wrote and performed his own songs. By the age of 20, he had already started a small business, bought a car, and rented an apartment in a nice neighborhood. He continued to play sports and was considered one of the best students at the university. Dominic and Mackenzie met for the first time when she was in her final year of high school. It happened at a party with mutual friends, and this accidental meeting became fateful for both of them. The young people were complete opposites, and as the saying goes, opposites attract. A handsome, curly-haired young man, well-versed in music, immediately caught Mackenzie's attention. He was radically different from the guys she usually socialized with. He was educated, well-mannered, interesting, and could easily hold a conversation on any topic. Mackenzie herself had a striking appearance and a slim figure. She dressed well and knew how to make the right impression. She turned on all her charm to draw the attention of the guy she liked, and she managed to achieve her goal rather quickly. In the fall of 2021, the couple began dating and almost immediately introduced each other to their parents. Mackenzie's parents were delighted with her choice and considered Dominic a brilliant match for their daughter. However, Dominic's parents had mixed feelings about Mackenzie. On one hand, she looked sweet and innocent and tried to make a good impression on them. On the other hand, something about her immediately alerted Frank and Christine Russo. Friends and family members of Mackenzie were sure that she had truly fallen in love for the first time and sincerely hoped that the relationship would positively affect her character and behavior. At that time, no one could have guessed the tragedy that would end this youthful romance. The couple began to appear everywhere together, holding hands and openly demonstrating their tender feelings for each other. Soon, the whole small town knew about their relationship. Those who knew Mackenzie well sincerely felt sorry for her boyfriend, but most were just happy for them. What was wrong with her? Soon, Dominic began to notice oddities in his girlfriend's behavior. Her defiant antics and desire to make everyone around her do only what she wanted. At first, he did not focus too much attention on it, attributing everything to her young age and desire to attract attention. The young couple made plans for their future together and even planned to get married as soon as Mackenzie turned 18. They also planned to leave their native provincial town and go together to conquer a major metropolis, ideally New York. There, Dominic saw many opportunities to build a brilliant career in the music industry and fully reveal his talent. But as time went on, Mackenzie's behavior became more and more alarming and sometimes even frightened Dominic. She demanded that her boyfriend do only what she wanted, and if he did not agree with her, she made a scandal, threw tantrums, and behaved like a capricious child. At first, Dominic tried to translate everything into a joke, but soon realized that this was the true face of his chosen one. In public, she tried to keep it together, but when they were alone, she would unleash all her emotions on him, sometimes even resorting to physical aggression. Mackenzie's behavior grew more aggressive, and eventually, Dominic decided he had enough. He suggested they take a break to sort out their feelings. When Mackenzie heard this, she had a public meltdown in front of their friends. She screamed and threatened Dominic, saying she would kill him if he left her, burn down his house, and wreck his car. But her outburst only made Dominic more certain that ending the toxic and unrewarding relationship was the right decision. Obsessive stalking followed. Mackenzie had no intention of letting her boyfriend go. At first, she acted as if nothing had happened. She continued to call him, invite him to various parties and events, and post their joint photos on social media with declarations of love. When Dominic firmly told her that everything was over between them, she literally went mad with anger and rage. Mackenzie went to his house almost daily, shouting insults and threats under his windows. She called him from different numbers, left messages on his answering machine, wrote on social media, and emailed him. Mackenzie would swear her love and offer to start over, only to switch back to insults and threats. Dominic was confused and didn't know how to react to such behavior, as he had never encountered anything like it before. He tried talking to her, ignoring her, and even recorded her threatening tantrums on his phone a couple of times. It got to the point where, upon seeing her ex-boyfriend on the street or in public places, Mackenzie would scream and insult him in front of passers-by. She turned Dominic's life into a real nightmare, but he still hoped that, with time, she would leave him alone and move on to someone else. One day, in front of witnesses, Mackenzie declared that it was easier for her to kill Dominic than to let him go. She said that if he didn't come back to her, no one would have him, and she would take care of it. The young man did not take these words seriously, although those around him realized that Mackenzie was not joking. Among the most frequent threats from the schoolgirl were promises to hit and run over Dominic with a car, put him in the car and drive off a cliff, or stop on the railroad tracks in front of a rushing train. Each option sounded terrifying, and Mackenzie described each in detail, as if she had planned it all out long ago and was just waiting for the right moment. When Mackenzie realized that threats and insults would not help her get Dominic back but only distanced him, she decided to change her tactics. She became sweet and charming again, stopped pressuring and harassing her ex-boyfriend, and instead tried her best to pretend that she realized her mistakes and wanted to change for the better. She talked about upcoming enrollment, asked for help choosing a university, and claimed that she had gotten smart and was now most concerned about her final exams. These changes pleasantly surprised Dominic. Despite everything, he still had tender feelings for his former girlfriend and decided, out of kindness, to help her with university enrollment. Therefore, they began to see each other and communicate again. Gradually, the couple became close once more. Dominic started inviting Mackenzie on dates, sought to spend all his free time with her, and believed that she had changed, matured, and become more serious and responsible. He did not notice how he fell in love with her again, and all the former offenses remained somewhere in the past. However, this time, the young couple was in no hurry to announce their reunion to all their friends and acquaintances. Their meetings were more like secret dates, where they just enjoyed each other's company, avoiding the close attention of others. When Dominic's own brother, Angelo, learned about what was happening, he suggested that nothing good would come of it. But the young man in love did not heed his words. While Dominic naively rejoiced at being reunited with his girlfriend and the changes he thought had happened to her, Mackenzie herself hatched a terrifying plan of reprisal against him. She was so fascinated by the idea of a car and a spectacular car crash that she began to work out this scenario in detail. In her free time, she spent hours driving around the city, choosing a place suitable for the realization of her plan. However, there were no high and steep cliffs nearby, and waiting on the tracks for a train seemed to her an unreliable idea. One day, Shirilla drove into a nearby industrial area, a fairly secluded place with no cameras and very few cars. The schoolgirl's attention was drawn to a huge brick wall, and her sick imagination immediately conjured up a new, no less horrible plan. She decided that if she accelerated to the maximum possible speed and crashed into the wall, it would be no less spectacular than falling off a cliff into an abyss. It should be noted that initially, Mackenzie planned to die together with her lover, so that their story would be retold by all the inhabitants of the city. She even told her best friend about it, but her friends simply did not believe in the seriousness of her intentions, because Mackenzie had visited such delusional ideas before, but everything was limited to empty conversations. At the end of July 2022, just a week before her coming of age, Mackenzie suggested to Dominic that they go to an upcoming party hosted by their mutual friends. It would be a good opportunity to have fun, unwind, and let everyone know that they were back together and loved each other dearly. The young man readily agreed. He still didn't feel threatened by Mackenzie and believed in the sincerity of her feelings and intentions. The event was scheduled for Saturday, July 30th. Dominic and Mackenzie appeared in the middle of the party holding hands, which immediately attracted the attention of those present. They looked happy, smiled, and openly showed affectionate feelings for each other. Friends were sincerely pleased with their reunion and noted that they were a very beautiful and harmonious couple. All evening and all night, the young people had fun, willingly took photographs, and kissed in front of everyone without shyness. But no one even guessed what a terrible tragedy would end this party. The couple drank a little, like everyone else at the event, but Mackenzie secretly took a dose of illegal drugs for courage so as not to change her mind and hit the brakes at the last moment. In the morning, Russo and Shirilla said goodbye to everyone and headed for the car. But then a friend of Dominic, Dave Flanagan, followed them and asked them give him a ride home. Mackenzie tried to object, saying they had plans of their own, but Dominic saw no problem with giving his friend a ride. Not wanting to fight, arouse suspicion, or change plans, Mackenzie agreed, essentially signing Dave's death warrant. Despite her lover's objections, Mackenzie got behind the wheel of the car. Dominic sat next to her in the passenger seat, and Dave sat behind him. The car started and slowly pulled away from the party venue, heading out on its most recent trip. On the main street, Mackenzie drove quietly, keeping to the speed limit and trying not to draw attention to herself. At a stoplight, she paused, even though the road was empty. Mackenzie once again considered her plan while her passengers dozed off. She later claimed that she wanted to die in the accident, but this was obviously a lie because she had fastened her seatbelt during the last stop, while her passengers remained unbuckled. When the light turned green, she drove off quickly, picking up speed, and then took a sharp turn onto a poorly lit secondary road leading into an industrial area. The guys didn't immediately realize what was going on, if at all. It was as if the devil himself had possessed the driver. The car accelerated to top speed, but Mackenzie continued to press hard on the gas pedal, steering the car into a blank brick wall. There wasn't a soul in the industrial area early Sunday morning, so no one saw the accident or rushed to help. Only one woman who lived on the outskirts not far from the scene of the accident heard the bang and went outside to see what had happened. She saw smoke and, when she got closer, realized there had been a car crash. She ran back inside to call emergency services. Medics arrived at the scene about half an hour after the accident, but the two guys in the car could not be helped. They died on the spot. The girl behind the wheel was alive, saved by her seatbelt and airbags. Mackenzie was unconscious, her legs trapped in the mangled car, but she was breathing, and her pulse was clearly palpable, giving hope that she would survive. She opened her eyes several times during the process of being released from the car, but was obviously unaware of what was going on around her. Mackenzie was immediately sent to the hospital, where she was diagnosed with a number of fractures and internal organ damage. Blood tests showed that she was under the influence of alcohol and drugs. However, according to the doctor, perhaps that is what prevented her from dying from painful shock. Investigation, leads, and confession. Initially, the police, having received the results of Mackenzie's tests, assumed that she, being under the influence of illegal substances, simply did not realize what she was doing and perhaps tried to drive through the wall or did not see any obstacles in her way. Supporting this version was the lack of braking distance. It was not possible to talk to Shirilla herself because she was unconscious in the intensive care unit after a complex operation. However, she soon came to her senses and, realizing what she had done, began to sob and pour out her soul to the doctor on duty. She admitted that she purposely drove into the wall at great speed because she wanted to kill her boyfriend and originally planned to die with him. Mackenzie also added that Dave was an accidental victim due to his own obsession because he asked to go with them. The doctor, did not take the patient's rambling story seriously, deciding that it was a delusional state resulting from anesthesia and painkillers, as well as guilt over the death of a loved one. When the police were allowed to talk to the recovering Mackenzie, she suddenly changed her testimony completely. Now, Mackenzie claimed that she remembered almost nothing about the events of that night because she took alcohol and illegal substances. According to her, she had a lapse in memory after she got behind the wheel and had no idea how Dave ended up in the car. However, the facts contradicted her story. Surveillance cameras were able to track the first part of the route the car had taken, and the footage clearly showed that Mackenzie was driving slowly and according to the rules until she suddenly turned onto a road leading to an industrial zone. Moreover, it turned out that Mackenzie had driven the entire route both ways several days earlier, and her car had been seen there at various times by at least a dozen witnesses. Back to normal. After being discharged from the hospital, Mackenzie recovered quickly and tried to return to her old carefree life. She showed no remorse and was confident that she could get away with it. Mackenzie was once again active on social media, meeting with friends, and making plans for the future. In September, she decided to go to a concert of her favorite band in a neighboring city. Even though the bones in her legs hadn't fully healed, she appeared on the concert stage in a wheelchair. She wore bright makeup, dressed provocatively, took selfies with friends, and posted them on her account. In October, when Mackenzie was back on her feet, she went to a Halloween celebration dressed in a pre-made costume. She lived life to the fullest and even made new acquaintances. But on November 4th, 2022, she was taken into custody. Trial and sentencing. It took the investigation just over 3 months to gather the necessary evidence and proof to bring the case to trial. Mackenzie was charged with premeditated aggravated double murder and possession and use of a controlled substance that was found in her pocket and detected in her blood. The defendant changed her testimony several times, first citing a lapse in memory. Then, when her friend testified in court as a witness to whom she had revealed her plan, Mackenzie changed tactics, saying that she wanted to die with her lover. However, inconsistencies were immediately discovered because she had previously fastened herself with a seatbelt. On August 21st, 2023, Shirilla was found guilty of all charges. However, an important nuance was taken into account. At the time of the crime, she was not yet 18 years old. It was 5 days before her majority, so she was tried as a minor under state law. She was entitled to at least 2 consecutive sentences of 15 years for each murder without parole. But because of her young age, she was allowed to serve the 2 sentences concurrently, meaning she would be eligible for parole in 15 years. By then, Mackenzie would be 33 years old. Both sides were unhappy with the court's decision. Family members of the deceased young people said they would seek a review of the case to increase the punishment. On the contrary, Mackenzie's parents and lawyer considered the sentence too harsh and filed an appeal. However, the judge left the sentence unchanged, noting that he did not believe Shirilla would leave prison after 15 years. In his opinion, the defendant did not repent for the evil she had committed, behaving arrogantly and even insolently towards the court. But now, she will have enough time to seriously consider her heinous act. What do you think about this story? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching and sticking with me. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Don't forget to subscribe for more. See you next time.